Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, my name is Alexa, and today I'm going to be talking about my top books of 2024 so far. At the time I'm filming this, it is July, and I have read 70 books this year. Out of those 70 books, I have rated 9 of them 5 stars. I've spoken on a lot of these books in many of my videos, but it's going to be nice to just have all of my favorite books of the year so far in one video. So I'm going to talk a little bit about what each book is about and then talk a little bit about why I love it. And yeah, that's pretty much it. So let's just jump in with the very first book that I gave 5 stars in 2024, which is Magnolia Parks by Jessa Hastings. If you ever go on any form of social media and consume any type of book related content, you have probably seen this book on the internet. A lot of people describe this as like Gossip Girl that takes place in London. And I pretty much knew that I was going to love this book because I absolutely love Gossip Girl. Shamelessly have rewatched the entire show at least 5 times, maybe more. So because of that reason, I had a pretty strong feeling going into this that I was going to love it. Now, this is obviously not going to be for everyone. We are essentially following our main character, Magnolia Parks, and she's basically just a rich London socialite. We are following her relationships and interactions with other characters throughout the book. Honestly, nothing too insane happens in these books. Like, they're more so character driven versus plot driven. So if that sounds like something you would like, I would definitely recommend reading this. However, I would also say if you have like relationship centered triggers, to definitely check that before you read these, just because they do depict like toxic relationships and different sort of things like that. So if that's a sensitive topic for you, be careful, of course. But I'm also not by any means saying that I condone behavior like this or anything like that, but it is a fictional story and it is very entertaining. You feel like you are in on all of the juicy gossip. It's just so good. Like, I would say if you love Gossip Girl, you absolutely have to read this book. And if you don't love Gossip Girl, I would say maybe give it a chance if it sounds like something you'd be interested in. The next book that I rated 5 stars in 2024 is Carrie, SoDo is Back by Jenkins Reid. I still have not gotten my hands on a copy of this book. I don't know why, but I actually listened to this book on audio on Spotify. I had no idea I was going to be as obsessed with this book as I was. Oftentimes, a lot of like statistics in books will definitely intimidate me. And I knew that there were a lot of like tennis stats within this book. So because of that, I was kind of apprehensive to read this book. But I figured listening to it on audiobook would help me get into it quicker. This is basically a story about our main character, Carrie SoDo, and she is a retired tennis player. She is now a record holder for, I believe, most Grand Slams? ? I don't remember exactly what record it is that Carrie holds, but she holds some sort of record for winning the most like championships for the age that she was, something along those lines. So she's now retired at this point, and then there is a new up-and-coming tennis player who ends up breaking her record, and she decides to come out of retirement and get her record back, hence the title Carrie SoDo is Back. So it's basically her story of coming out of retirement, overcoming any roadblocks that she encounters, and you're just following her journey as she attempts to reclaim her record. I will say that going into this book, I knew pretty much nothing about tennis except for the very, very generic basics. So if that intimidates you, please don't let it intimidate you any longer. This book is just so well done. I was literally almost brought to tears by this book, and I hardly ever cry when I'm reading books. It is just such a magnificently told story. It felt like a true story, but not like a boring memoir, like a very exciting, eventful, fictional story that felt real. I still think about this book all the time, and I think I read this in like February. So yeah, I would highly recommend you pick up this book and give it a chance, especially to anyone out there who used to play sports in their childhood or in college, anything like that. Any ex-athletes will love this book. The next book that I gave 5 stars in 2024 is Love Redesigned by Lauren Asher. I had never read a Lauren Asher book before I read this one. I still haven't read another Lauren Asher book since I read this one. I'm not sure if I just got lucky and like literally read her best book, or if I'm going to absolutely love the rest of her books. Only time will tell. But what. This book is basically about our main character, Dahlia, and she is returning to her hometown after some rough things happen to her. While she's back in her hometown, she reunites with her childhood friend slash nemesis, Julian. She's basically just trying to heal from all of the difficult things that led her to move back to her hometown, and Julian ends up trying to help her in that process. Also, this book is called Love Redesigned, so they are like interior designers and contractors, a lot of that kind of stuff in this book. And yeah, we're basically just following these two characters and Dahlia's journey to healing and Julian's journey to helping her with that, while also achieving some of his goals. I don't want to give too much away, but I feel like the chemistry in this book is absolutely fantastic. Also, the small historic lake vibes of this town are just immaculate. I also think it's still on Kindle Unlimited, so you can read it for free if you have Kindle Unlimited. Moving on, the fourth book in 2024 that I gave 5 stars is Funny Story by Emily Henry. I have read all of Emily Henry's books, and this one is my #1 favorite without a doubt. This one had kind of mixed reviews whenever it came out, but this was honestly such a hit for me. Our two main characters, Daphne and Miles, have both just got broken up with their respective partners, and their partners that broke up with them are now dating. And so now Daphne and Miles are both looking for roommates and a little bit of comfort as they go through this a very particular situation. Daphne is like really wanting to leave this town that they're in, so she's kind of just trying to finish out some commitments that she made at work. And meanwhile, Miles is trying to figure out how to get her to stay. But both of the characters in this book have such interesting and deep pasts. It is so good. I never wanted this reading experience to end. I'm sure I'll be rereading this at some point in the future. Moving on with my 5th 5-star book of 2024, and it is Just for the Summer by Ali Jimenez. This is my very first Ali Jimenez book, and I am very disappointed that I did not discover this author sooner. This book is incredible. We are essentially following our two main characters. Emma and Justin believe that they are cursed because every single time they date someone, the person that breaks up with them then finds their true love afterwards, while Emma and Justin are left being single after every single breakup. So they end up connecting via a Reddit page, and they decide to date each other and allegedly cancel out the curse so that they can find their true loves. But everything, of course, just ends up getting a little bit more complicated than they originally planned. They both have a lot of unique family situations going on. I feel like this book is so good because it has really incredibly complex and interesting characters who continue to develop throughout the story, but we're also following a very interesting plot. And so I feel like it keeps you engaged in a multitude of different ways. I just think it's really good. You should definitely read this book. It is a romance book, but I feel like even if you don't like romance, you could still enjoy this book. Okay, my 6th 5-star read for 2024 is Heartstopper, specifically Volume 3. Heartstopper is a YA graphic novel series by Alice Oseman. We are following two characters, Charlie and Nick, as well as all of their different friends and their friend group. They are basically just coming of age in high school and learning about themselves and the world around them. I never thought I would be the type of person to enjoy a graphic novel, but this completely changed my mind. So if you've been wanting to try out a graphic novel, I would definitely recommend checking these out. They're very fun and lighthearted, but they can also touch on some heavier topics. But I think it's really well done, so I absolutely loved these. Even though I really enjoyed all of these, the third one is definitely the best one, hands down. My 7th 5-star read for 2024 is Not in Love by Ali Hazelwood. I was really not expecting to love this book as much as I did. In this book, we are basically following our main characters, Rue and Eli. They are working for competing tech companies, and there's essentially a business deal going down that revolves around Eli's company potentially taking over Rue's company. But before all of that happens, Rue and Eli realize that they have already met during a previous encounter. So they are basically trying to balance the drama between their businesses and their personal relationship outside of work. This book is dramatic, messy, chaotic. I loved it. I also feel like even though it is definitely much spicier than Just for the Summer, they kind of give me similar vibes in the sense of when I said that the characters develop throughout the book, but there's also an interesting plot going on at the same time. Like, it's not strictly character driven or plot driven. We kind of have a good mix of both. And I really loved that about this book. The 8th book that I gave 5 stars in 2024 is Ready or Not by Cara Bastone. In this book, we are following our main character, Eve, and she has basically accidentally gotten pregnant. This was not a part of her plan for her life at this point. So we are essentially following her and all of the decisions that she decides to make revolving around the pregnancy and the way that her friends and family help her take on this dramatic change in her life. This book is so heartwarming, and I never thought that I would have enjoyed a book with the accidental pregnancy trope, but here we are. Don't judge a book by its trope. This one is seriously so good. The last book that I have given 5 stars in 2024, and the last book in this video, is None of This Is True by Jewell. This book is absolutely insane, and it takes a lot for me to give a mystery or a thriller 5 stars, so this is really saying something. This book is creepy, eerie, and confusing. Basically, one of the main characters, Alex, has a podcast where she interviews women and shares their stories. She meets this other girl named Josie through an unlikely interaction where they learn that they are birthday twins. Essentially, that interaction leads to Alex inviting Josie onto her podcast. And as Alex is interviewing Josie about her life, she starts to reveal some really wild things, and the lines of reality become completely blurred. This book had me on the absolute edge of my seat. Throughout my time reading this, anytime I wasn't reading it, I was just thinking about different theories in my head of what could be happening next. And all of the plot twists had my jaw fully on the ground. No, not just on the ground, in the basement. My jaw was at the earth's core. It was so far down there. If you love thrillers and mysteries and you haven't read this one yet, do yourself a favor and read this book. All right, guys, those are the 9 books that I have rated 5 stars in 2024 so far. I hope that there are many, many more. That is gonna be all for today. Make sure to give this video a thumbs up if you liked it, and leave a comment down below letting me know anything you want to let me know, especially what books you have rated 5 stars so far in 2024. Also, make sure to follow me on Instagram and make sure that you are subscribed so that you don't miss any videos in the future. And I will see you guys in my next video. Bye!